Hello guys, happy Monday. What is going on in today's video? We have a lot to cover. I'll be sharing with you latest updates around the Bitcoin market. We'll also be talking about price predictions using technical analysis of Bitcoin and MicroStrategy MSTR stock, what my price prediction is for the year 2025. And you don't want to miss it. I will be playing two epic video clips of Michael Saylor and his price prediction for Bitcoin. Now, if you're new to this channel, first off, thanks for stopping by. I would really appreciate hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's get started, guys. Let's first listen to this video from the founder of Binance and his Bitcoin prediction during this cycle. You don't want to miss it.
Okay. What do you think the price of Bitcoin tops at this cycle?
Again, very difficult question. Somewhere between 500K to a million, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you heard it from the Binance leader that it's going to 500K to $1 million. So let's move on to the next post. Fiat Archive, he posted that President Trump says, I want crypto. Crypto is important because if we don't, China will. So obviously we know how much the government of the United States holds compared to China. So they're like really neck to neck when it comes to total amount of Bitcoins on the government reserve. And that's all through seizures, somewhere around that, 250,000 Bitcoins on the reserve for both United States and China. And China is not too far, behind when it comes to the United States total HODL count. Here's another interesting post from Fiat Archive. So Warren Buffett says that it might be a good idea to own a lot of other currencies besides the US dollar. So, with traditional finance, passive investing, with retirement funds, it was always recommended to invest in like the S&P. It grows year over year by like 8, 9%. But now it really comes down to diversifying. Why? Because, younger generations should really be embracing Bitcoin as a way to capitalize on appreciation with Bitcoin price expected to go to new levels. So we're actually taking on risk by not embracing Bitcoin. But definitely with Warren Buffett, saying this, he's really alluding it to the younger generations, the up and coming generations that have many years down the line for investing. Here's another post from Fiat Archive. So just in, the CIA confirmed that they are excited about Bitcoin and it is here to stay. We know Bitcoin's not going away. There's 21 million Bitcoins. We're at 95% in terms of Bitcoins already mined. So as we scale out to another 20 years, we may very well get to that 99% of all Bitcoins mined. Currently, today, we get about 450 Bitcoins mined every day, but the amount of Bitcoin that's being bought up every day has gone to the levels where we can't even catch up with the amount of Bitcoin available. So obviously, we know there's going to be increased demand, supply shock's going to be kicking in. We just don't know when, but I do think that we're going to hear big time news updates. And just looking at Bitcoin news with this post, in that Brown University, they invested $4.9 million in Bitcoin via BlackRock's IBIT as disclosed in a recent SEC filing. So the university now owns 105,000 IBIT shares. 2.3% of Brown's reported 216 million equity holdings. So there you see it with iShares Bitcoin Trust, along with all of the different companies that Brown University invests in, such as Microsoft, Amazon, Google, all the big time Mag 7 type of plays. But definitely some huge conviction. We're seeing a lot of financial institutions buying up Bitcoin related ETFs along with strategy, even Bitcoin as well. So definitely huge inflows coming in. And even with the Arizona woman who did not approve the Bitcoin executive order in the state of Arizona, I think all of that, even though that happened, State of Arizona has been buying up huge numbers of strategy stock, even if you're not, going through with that proposal. The fact that Arizona is buying strategy, you're hedging Bitcoin as a way for appreciation with the return on value. Michael Saylor today announced another purchase of SAT. So MSTR has acquired 1,895,000 Bitcoin for about 180 million at the price of 95,000 Bitcoin. So now they've got to that Bitcoin yield of 14% year to date. So their overall yearly goal was 15% year to date. So they've already got to their target, in less than like half a year. So definitely impressive numbers. I think with 21 Capital now in the picture as well, that really takes away the complacency where strategy does have competitors, big time well competitors, in the market now. But overall strategy, they hodl so much Bitcoin, 555,450 Bitcoin acquired at like $38 billion, with the average cost for every Bitcoin for the last 5 years, $68,000 Bitcoin. So definitely winning. I don't think there's going to be any company, no second best company that will be able to get an average cost of like 68,000 with the amount of HODL that they've been purchasing over the last 5 years. So definitely big numbers for Saylor and the team. But let's also take a look at this posting from Chris Millis. And if you haven't already done so, I would recommend following Chris, who's a big time MSTR believer, with a total of 555,000 Bitcoin. Strategy now owns 2.64% of the total Bitcoin supply and is 55.54% of the way to one Nakamoto. Let's go. For every $1,000 that Bitcoin increases, which is about, a 1% of the growth where we currently stand at the price that Bitcoin is at, Strategy's balance sheet increases by $555 million. That is just big numbers. Why? Because Strategy has a big Bitcoin treasury holdings. You think about it, I mean, they're getting, more than halfway close to Nakamoto, and their average purchase price of Bitcoin, $68,000. Never really going to be able to get to that level as Bitcoin price continues to appreciate. But it doesn't matter. Strategy will continue to stack sats, whether, prices at a lower costs or a higher cost, you name it. Dollar cost average is the name of the game. Why? Because it's a global game theory for hodling the most amount of Bitcoin. With all of that, let's talk about technical analysis before I play the two epic video clips of Saylor. What we're looking at right now is Bitcoin technical analysis, current price hovering around that $94,000. Last Friday we had, Bitcoin price, having a nice run up close to about $98,000, but we're still, consistently hovering in that $90,000 range, which is a good, indicator of showing a bounce back, breaking through the MACD, crossing the 50, 200 day, daily moving average, as well as seeing MACD increase. Relative strength has been showing signs of greater growth. Just looking at the CMC fear to greed index, we're definitely seeing fear, start being less of a concern. And all of that's attributed to the consistency in what we're seeing with the stock market. However, today, just with ongoing tariff news on like, US videos, where there's going to be tariffs on movies, imported to the United States at 100% tariffs. But I do think that, you know, this week we may see more volatility, especially with the upcoming updates from the Federal Reserve about rate cuts. So it's most likely that we won't have a rate cut, in the near term, and that it may be sometime in like June, July as the first rate cut. We're expected to have three rate cuts, but it really is just going to be dependent on what Jerome Powell says. But we're hovering in that stable 90,000 range, which is a key indicator. After having Bitcoin, under this retracement with the bull flag, But seeing MACD increase, relative strength increase, I do think that there's a high possibility that in the upcoming week we may very well have Bitcoin price get into that 100K. But in the year 2025, I'm bullish. I'm thinking Bitcoin's gonna get to like that $200,000 upside potential, where we currently are over like a 1x potential in the year 2025. Let's say once Bitcoin gets to, $200,000, what does this mean for strategy? Today we saw, the strategy performance, ticking up. It opened in the market, down, but it did recover towards the end of the market, which is definitely healthy signals. We're seeing people wait until the end of the stock market, buying more shares of strategy. Definitely do think we're seeing higher highs. Whether we're going to get to that 220, 230, I think that we're well past that phase. So definitely kudos to those who were able to dollar cost average at these low points. We broke through that level one prior resistance. That's become the new support line. We're getting closer to that level two retest of like $440 range. As soon as we get, price activity to that level where, it flips a switch from retest resistance to new support line, we're going to be talking about level three stair climb to the prior resistance of 540, somewhere around that Bitcoin price run up of 110, 115,000. We may very well get to that prior resistance of 540. But I'm thinking somewhere around the line as Bitcoin price gets to 150K from where it currently is right now, we're definitely going to see some upside for market participants shooting up the price of strategy up to 750. Anywhere between 200, 250K, we may very well see strategy just shoot up to the four-digit range. Not saying that it's going to happen this year, but it's very possible that it does so as Bitcoin price breaks into all-time high in this cycle. So with all of that, let's listen to Saylor. So Saylor, take it away.
Credit ratings for our fixed income securities. So the credit side of this is really important because, as you could see from my torque and my multiple calculations, the thing that will drive our outperformance that allows us to achieve a 2x BTC return or get mNAVs of 4, 5, 6, 8. If we want to drive that up, if we want to drive our performance up, if we want 2 times or 3 times the volatility of BTC over time, then we need to develop the credit markets. And I've thrown a lot of metrics at you, and I've talked about a lot of things. We have a lot of securities, but lest there be any confusion, MSTR, the common equity that is, that's the principal metric for shareholder value creation and company performance. So if you're asking what is winning, winning is maximizing the price of MSTR, right? I mean, if I have a choice of driving the price up by a factor of 10 and having mNAV be 3, or having the price go up by a factor of 2 and have mNAV be 6, I think that you would want me to drive the price up by a factor of 10, not a factor of 2. So we're always thinking about what is going to maximize MSTR, shareholder value creation, and we're balancing every other metric against it. When I found Bitcoin, I was in despair. I had worked for a decade. I had spent 20,000 man years attempting to do everything under the sun. I could not get ahead. Right. And I was the same me. I wasn't stupid, right? You look at me and say, well, this is Michael Saylor, worked as hard as he could for a decade and could not get ahead, right? And the most pernicious thing you can do to someone is you make them think that they're just not smart enough. And the reason they're failing is because they're not smart and they don't work hard enough. And then you realize, no, the system is rigged against you.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed another episode here at All I See Is W. Let me know what your thoughts are with this video, what your predictions are for Bitcoin and strategy. Are we going to see Bitcoin break through into the $100,000 in the month of May? And again, if you're new to this channel, first off, thank you that you're here. I would really appreciate hitting the like and subscribing for more related content. I'll see you on the next one, guys.